Rick Perry, the hair politician. You know, the funniest story about Rick Perry, I photographed him twice. You know, he is the consummate smooth guy. He comes in, you almost instantly have a nickname. He remembers your name. It's this whole politician thing. You know, and I've been other politicians. You know, a good friend of mine, Jack Valenti, who just passed recently, he told me, if you don't like Bush, don't spend 10 minutes in a room with him because you'll love him, because he's that kind of, you know, you instantly get a nickname. You instantly feel like, you know, he has that ability to make you feel special, you know. And, you know, I was offered twice to photograph him. Newsweek offered me a cover the day after the election, the initial election, when he was first voted president, and I turned it down because I fundamentally can't like photograph someone.
Well, you know, he looks more like a demon when he does the smiles, or like an evil clown. Yeah. That when he does that laughing, yeah. I mean, it upsets me. And, you know, he had me arrested one time for just asking him a question. I don't know if you've ever Googled Alex Jones arrested for asking governor a question at a press conference. Okay. And I asked him about the world government. They just drugged me out and arrested me.
Is that right? Well, I had a funny run-in with Rick Perry at Bicycle Sports Shop. I went in there to get something, and he was in there, and he was in his bike outfit, and he had his assistants with the big file of faxes and a couple of the Capitol Police with him. And so I heard him. I was in there and I was kind of listening, and I heard him talking to his assistant, and he said, like, okay, I'm going to go for a bike ride from 10 to 12. Then I'm going to meet Bill for lunch. Then after that, I'm going to do this and go for a run. Then I'm going to go swim, you know, this. And I'm listening to all this. And as soon as he finished it, I was standing right next to him, and I said, you planning on doing any governing today? Because it sounded like his day was full of recreation, you know. But, yeah, these guys, you know, most of these guys. And I think the point you brought up about Bush's laugh, my experience with politicians is they don't really know what they're supposed to do, and so they have this kind of fake smile that they throw on. And you know, I photographed Phil Graham one time, and I said he kept doing this really bizarre smile, and I was trying to get a shot that felt natural, like we were talking about earlier. You were talking about the idea of how to kind of like capture the essence of someone, you know, and when they're not taking direction and they're doing what they think a photograph is supposed to be. You know, I think a lot of people think like, oh, a great photo is of a sunset or something. You know, it's like super passé, but once again, a sunset inspires all of us. People look at a photo of the sunset and it takes them to that point, whatever. The most common sort of genre of photographs. But Phil Graham said, I said, yeah, maybe just relax your mouth. Maybe just do something serious. And he said, boy, I worked on this smile for a long time. I'm going to smile. So, and it was the most painfully forced like smile you could possibly imagine. But I don't even know where we're at.
I like to photograph like out in the country, old shot up washing machines. Yeah. And the way the bullets have gone through and the rust.
Cars. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's the kind of stuff I like.
Yeah.
Not that I just like photographs, you know, that are of an old barn or an old woman. Or,
sure.
I love all of your photos.
That's great, thanks.
Because it does. So I was accurate when I said that you somehow draw out the essence of people.
I try to. And, you know, I think to a certain extent it's like I've called it before, I've called it a manufactured intimacy. And I think the idea behind, you know, the range of human expression and human emotion is so wide that I think what I try to do is I try to capture sort of like, usually, except for the case with your crazy screaming photograph, is that, but that's a part of your personality. And so that was an accurate representation, I suppose, right? But the idea is to try to go to a place that feels pensive, that feels introspective, that feels, you know, quiet oftentimes. It doesn't feel like it's, you know, manufactured. It doesn't feel like it's ingenuine. You know, it's capturing a moment of that individual, but I think it's a reflective moment, and I think people respond to reflective moments.
Why did you choose this photo as the cover page when you opened the magazine up?
I didn't. The magazine did. And I would have hoped, what I was hoping is that the screaming photo was by itself with the, my dream would have been the screaming photo was by itself and the typography on one side, and then you turned to that photo, and then the last photo was the one in the set. You know, I had hoped for that. But I was really happy with it.
So first show me in the screaming and then show the calm.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, just kind of jump back and forth because once again, and I really like this, very flattering photo of you.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, you like that one, huh? That's your new headshot, exactly.
Well, that's what I look like to myself when I'm looking in the mirror, you know, brushing my teeth.
Sure.
And then I'm not really photogenic. I mean, I'm not very narcissistic, but at the same time, you're looking at photos of yourself. It's like, that doesn't really look like me.
Of course, absolutely.
And but your photos, because I've met some of these famous people in person, the photos you take of people is what they really look like.
Yeah, yeah.
And
that's a challenge when you're shooting someone famous, by the way, because you've seen them represented in the media so many times. It's like, how do you make that quintessential image and still have it be a recognizable image? And what I try to do in my photographs, and I think to a large extent I'm successful, is to try to create a timeless, iconic image. So that is not to use like fancy, tricky lighting stuff, to keep it really simple. There he is.
Let's quit looking at me now. In fact, we don't have much time. Run through some of the other photos at the end of that we haven't seen of other people. Go ahead. Did we find the Lee-Harvey-Oswald photo yet? We're going to show that when we come back. Sorry, Dan, go ahead.
All right, no problem.
I'm in here directing while I'm on TV.
Where are we at? You're right. Here, just continue the direction of the flow of the conversation.
No, it's just you were saying, you were talking about how to...
Oh, to create a genuine moment and still have it be an accurate representation of what that individual looks like. Because once again, people that are really widely known in the news and stuff, it's very difficult to create an image that stands out and that's going to connect to you because you've seen so many of them. So the idea of trying to create, try to heighten it to the point where it becomes iconic, I guess, ultimately. And, through the history of photography, there are those single images that represent to everyone. If I said Lincoln, there are a couple photographs, even though he was photographed, he wasn't actually photographed that many times, like 12 times, I think. But there are a couple, there's that one at the end of the war, shortly before he was killed, where you just see how completely decimated he had become from the war.
He looks like a corpse already.
Unbelievable. Yeah, just...
There's the Iwo Jima Marines, how exhausted they look at the triumph.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's the sailor kissing the beautiful woman in New York.
Alfred Eisenstadt.
And you could just capture that they're going to be having a great time together that night.
Joe Rosenthal with the flag-raising shot and Alfred Eisenstadt with the Times Square shot.
We've got a break. When we come back, your favorite photograph in the world or your top 3 or 4. Okay. Then we'll look at this fake Lee-Harvey-Oswald photo with a photographic expert and a lot more. He's Dan Winters.